Hello there, GlenDronach of Whiskey Lore, and time for another whiskey tasting. And today I am doing a tasting of a GlenDronach whiskey. Now, in the past, I have done a review on batch 8 of GlenDronach's Cask Strength series, and now I have a bottle, a little sample of the 12, so you get a chance to see what the tin looks like. And this is a whiskey, this original one, this one that I had in the past was 61% ABV, whereas this is 58.2% ABV, cask strength. You can see that I have done some pre-tasting on this bottle. Part of the reason is because when I started drinking this, I couldn't quite figure out the best way to drink it. And the pressure's on because it's not a big bottle, so you play with it here and there. But I started out with it at cask strength because that's the way that I usually tend to drink whiskeys, or at full strength without putting any water in it. And when you're dealing with lower proof whiskeys, that's not so bad. When you start getting into the cask strengths, sometimes they demand a little bit of water. And according to the press release, for this particular whiskey, Dr. Rachel Berry says, put in a couple drops of water. It's going to awaken the whiskey. Well, when I first put my nose to it and started tasting it, I was like, okay, I'm not sure. I'm not getting this right off the bat. Let me add some water to it and see what happens. Well, I didn't add just a couple drops of water. I actually kind of diluted it a decent amount. And when I did, it flattened out and it wasn't very interesting at all. And I wasn't using this, but instead I was actually, pouring water into it. And sometimes that technique, you can tend to overdo it a little bit. Well, I definitely overdid it when I did that experiment. So today I'm starting out with it again at cask strength, but I'm going to try a couple drops, as Dr. Rachel Berry says. She is the master blender at GlenDronach. And on the nose, I'm tending to get a decent amount of what I would call like a grape juice note. The bright notes of the PX cask are coming through on this. So you've got a blend of PX cask and Oloroso sherry casks. Not sure the ages on these. This is non-age stated whiskey. There's a little soapy leather note in there as well. Maybe a wee bit of a cinnamon and toasted smell coming out of this as well. Cheers. So more of what I expect out of a PX cask, Oloroso sherry cask, GlenDronach, is that raisin, plum, fig kind of a mix going on in there. I still get some of that grape note, some of that brighter grape note coming in here. Maybe a little citrus. She says mocha. I'm not picking mocha up on this at all. When I get to the finish, the raisin takes over along with kind of a sweetness that reminds me of like drizzled cinnamon rolls with raisins. It kind of has that kind of a taste to it. And this is what's going to make this interesting, because I noted before that just disappeared completely when I put water in it. And I'm going to try it again. Now on the nose, the grape Kool-Aid kind of disappeared now that I put a little water in there. It's still kind of leathery note. Char note, not necessarily getting as much raisin out of it. Maybe getting a little carob note in there as well. Cheers. working it around the mouth definitely helps. That's opening it up a lot. And sometimes with cask strength whiskey, I don't know if I'm just afraid to let it work around the mouth and burn other parts of my mouth. It's not burning, actually. But it's interesting because those fruit notes, again, those grape notes are right out front. And I mean, it's grape jelly. It's not overly sweet, but it is definitely sweeter than what you might expect out of Oloroso. And so I'm guessing this is probably made up of more PX cask than it is of Oloroso. The first time I tried this, I was getting, and I added a little water to it, I ended up with kind of a burnt palate. In other words, I was getting like a char note on the back of my palate, and it was not what I would call a pleasant note. But with just a little bit of water, I'm still retaining a little bit of that cinnamon roll, but I'm much more into the grape side of things, and the char is not there. So I'm not getting that same kind of burnt taste on the back of my palate. So this has been a really interesting whiskey because it seems that every time I taste it, I put a little different spin on how I'm drinking it, and it's changing with each different way that I drink it. And so it's probably better to have a full bottle where you can experiment instead of a partial bottle where you're kind of working through it and hoping that you don't run out before you finally figure out the secret formula. But it's just really interesting to see how this whiskey is evolving depending on what amount of liquid I'm putting in it. And I also think that this bottle probably needed more than a day to allow some air into the bottle to kind of wake the thing up. So I'm finding it interesting. I love the idea that they're doing cask strength whiskeys. Scotch and cask strength have not been a prevalent way of selling Scotch for a long time, but it is definitely something that helps you kind of play and experiment and not just be stuck at whatever proof the distiller decided to proof it down to. So very interesting. Batch 12 out now, as far as I understand, probably about $105 a bottle. So it's going to be a little more pricey than your regular GlenDronach, but it is also cask strength, so that makes a bit of a difference as well. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of GlenDronach. Sorry for the Band-Aid. I am getting over a little wound. That's why I didn't do a Monday episode. I will probably, tomorrow I'm doing a video on a Jack Daniel's whiskey that is cask strength also. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be at the Barnes & Noble at Haywood Road in Greenville, South Carolina, doing a book signing for Experiencing Irish Whiskey. Hopefully by then, the Band-Aid is gone and I'm back to normal. Anyway, hopefully not a big distraction. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like. And if you would like to see more of these, make sure that you're subscribed. And until next time, I'm out. Cheers and Slainte. A little more baking spice in it on the nose after the glass is empty.